Welcome back to Dallas Flag Football League's Football 101. Today we'll be highlighting the wide receiver position, talking briefly about the needed skill set, but focusing heavily on receiver routes you'll want to become familiar with. Wide receivers need a very specific skill set to find success at their position. Many, but not all receivers, are known for their speed and ability to create separation in a foot race with the defense. They'll be running a great deal all over the field, so having stamina is a definite bonus. One of the most underrated wide receiver skills is that of running clean routes. A receiver doesn't necessarily have to be the fastest or strongest, but if they understand their route and can trick their covering defender, that's more than half the battle. An obvious needed skill is good hands. What we mean by that is the ability to catch the ball. A receiver needs to have quick reflexes and soft hands to secure the ball and make the catch. The wide receiver is categorized as a skill position, meaning it takes a little something extra such as acceleration to create separation, strength to beat a blocker off the line, or jumping to outreach an approaching defender. One of the most coveted skills of a receiver is that of trust. As we mentioned before, the quarterback position can be an overwhelming one. If a QB can trust that their receiver is running the correct route and will be exactly where they anticipate, it will make for a smooth offense. Clearly communicating with your offensive leader and running the play as called is a definite positive. However, a wide receiver may also have to be adaptable and improvise. If a play call does not create an immediate opening for them, they may have to use the space given to provide an open target for the quarterback. Extending a play and making something happen is an intangible trait that not all receivers have. This is the most important tool for a new wide receiver to have. It's called the route tree. Think of it as a map depicting the most common routes a receiver needs to know. If you recall from our previous video, a route is the path a receiver runs. The quarterback will call a play with various routes run by the receivers on the field. The goal is to cause confusion among or separation from the defense. Some routes are short and sweet, while others can be long. The route tree isn't an exhaustive picture of routes. There are many more an offense could use. However, it's the best starting point for someone learning the game. Let's take a look at each of them. Don't get too caught up in the number. It's more important to learn the name. We'll start with a route that isn't depicted on the route tree at all. It's called the zero or sit. It essentially means to just stand right where you are at the line of scrimmage and turn to face the quarterback. They may be looking to throw the ball quickly because the defense is giving them space, or the quarterback wants someone nearby they can dump the ball off to. Moving on, we have the flat. In a flat route, the wide receiver will run a quick, shallow route toward the sideline parallel to the line of scrimmage. The receiver will quickly turn out toward the sideline and run no deeper than 4 to 5 yards. In most cases, it will be 1 to 2 yards and a direct line to the sideline where the quarterback will pass the ball quickly to the receiver if they're open. Remember from our defensive lesson that this area the receiver is in is called the flats. As we study these routes, you'll see the starting position of the receiver in yellow and ideally where they should end up in green. A slant route is another quick, off-the-line route. The receiver will run a few steps from the line of scrimmage and then make a sharp 45-degree angle toward the inside of the field. The idea is that a slant happens so quickly the receiver will have immediate separation from any defender and can easily pick up short yardage. The comeback route may begin to take the receiver into a little deeper territory. On this route, the receiver will run about 5 to 10 yards downfield and make a quick turn out toward the sideline. They'll want to keep their hands and eyes up and ready as the quarterback may deliver the ball as soon as they turn around. This is the moment in which they may have created separation from the defender. The comeback route will always turn out towards the sideline and end up facing the line of scrimmage. The curl is almost identical to the comeback, but the receiver will now turn to the inside of the field. It's called a curl because the route itself curls in and back towards the quarterback in the line of scrimmage. The turn will always be to the middle of the field. You may also hear it called a stop route. The quarterback could say something like, Run a 5 and stop, which means run 5 yards downfield and do an immediate about face turn. Our next route is called an out. In this route, the receiver will run about 5 to 10 yards downfield and make a sharp 90-degree angle toward the sideline or outside of the field, hence the name out. Ideally, it should look like an L shape and should be run with very straight lines. Avoid rounding out your turn, as a sharp, fast turn will create separation between you and your defender. The in route is, you guessed it, pretty much the opposite of the out. The receiver will run 5 to 10 yards downfield, and this time they'll make a 90-degree turn to the inside of the field. Again, sharp, hard cuts are what really sell this route and fake out the defense. It may also be called a dig or a drag. Most often, you'll hear a quarterback say something like, run 10 and in, meaning run 10 yards in a straight line and cut in at the 90-degree angle. Now we get to some of the longer routes. The first is a corner. A receiver will run about 10 to 15 yards downfield in a straight line. Once to that point, they will take an angle and run toward the outside corner of the end zone. Imagine you're running straight for the back cone or pylon and stay at that angle. The corner route's partner is the post. The easiest way to remember the post is that you'll run 10 to 15 yards downfield, then take an angle toward the goalpost situated just beyond the back middle of the end zone. If you confuse corner and post, just remember corner of the end zone and goalpost. Hopefully that will help you recall where to make your angle. And finally, we have the fly route. Sometimes this is called a go or a streak. It's one of the simplest, but demands some speed and stamina. You'll run in a full sprint downfield in a straight line. Sometimes this is an attempt to get a fast receiver open downfield, while other times it's used to clear out space for other routes to develop underneath. Either way, be ready to run. Every route just shown can be run from either side of the ball. You'll just have to recall the route tree and think of a mirror image depending on what side of the ball you're lined up on. The inside of the field is always toward the ball, and the outside is always toward the sideline. It will become easier the more you practice. Speaking of practice, come practice some routes this Saturday at our very first open play day. We'll be meeting at McKinnish Park in Carrollton Saturday, November 19th from 5 to 7 p.m. Test your wide receiver skills and show us what you got.